5 hours a day, 175 hours a week, 700 hours a month. According to a research article, Media Violence and Social Neuroscience by Anderson Carnegie in 2007, the average American spends 5 hours a day consuming on-screen media. And this is pretty much anything that you see on TV or on our phones or various other tablets. It's kind of hard not to notice the violence that we see on social media. You can be scrolling through and suddenly you see a video of a girl getting hit in the head with a shovel or somebody just fighting in general. Today I'm going to talk to you about how the presence of violence on social media has impacted us and how we can go about intervening. In Anderson's research, he states that for children and young adolescents, the most popular media showing is violence. In his research, he looked at how violence is influencing our neuroscience, so our brain. The anterior cingulate cortex is the part of our brain that's responsible for regulating aggression, and he says that there is recent evidence that exposure to violent media may be linked to decreases in the activity of brain structures needed for regulating aggressive behavior, and to increasing the activities of structures needed to carry out aggressive plans. So basically this means that violence in social media is shutting down part of our brain that helps regulate aggression and is instead strengthening the part of our brain that allows us to be aggressive. Personally, I can attest to this. From something as simple as watching judo videos turns into seeing videos of school fights, and it kind of makes me want to throw somebody or imagine like being in the fight and like how I would go about fighting somebody. According to the article School Fight Club, popular platforms such as Instagram have accounts made specifically for videos of fights, and in their bios it'll say something along the lines of submit a video if you want to be featured on our page. And while it might be wrong to be physically fighting in the first place, students are pulling out their phones and recording the fight to be featured rather than intervening. And this kind of behavior is promoting violence because it is sending a message that being violent is cool rather than being acceptable. So for example, have you guys all heard of the Catch Me Outside girl who appeared on the Dr. Phil show? So I don't want to get into too much detail, but her negative attitude and violent behavior has caught fame and she's gotten a lot of money from it. And this is just one example of young children and adolescents being exposed to violence on social media. So what can we do? We can be a pro-social bystander. According to the Bystander Intervention Approach to Violence Prevention, Considerations for Implementation in Europe, published by the Psychology of Violence, the pro-social bystander is someone who is not directly involved in a problematic event as a victim or a perpetrator, but who witnesses the event and intervenes in a positive way. So this is the opposite of the bystander effect, and in this comic you can see that somebody is calling for help, but instead everybody else is saying like #do something, but they're not actually doing something themselves. They're just watching it as it happens. So we want to be the opposite of that. So as a pro-social bystander, 1, you're aware that the event is occurring. 2, you understand that it is a problem. 3, you decide to be part of the solution. 4, you hold yourself accountable for being part of the solution. And 5, you seek the skills to be able to intervene. And how can you intervene? On Instagram, you can report posts if you find that it is harmful or shows displays of abuse and violence. And this will help mediate the material and bring it to Instagram's attention so that they can do what's necessary for that problem. Another thing is that if there is a situation that is violent, you can call for help. Instead of just taking out your phone and starting to record it for that viral video, you should first think about the safety of the individuals and call to get other people's attention. You can also get people in the room to help you and intervene in the situation. For example, in middle school when there was a fight, I went out and tried to get people to stop the fight, and since nobody was doing it, I ended up going in with one of the other teachers and we split up the fight. Another thing that you can do is raise awareness. An organization called Step Up is working to empower people to promote bystander intervention. On their website, you can find ways to intervene various types of situations such as sexual assault, anger, alcohol abuse, depression, and many more. By being more knowledgeable, we will be better prepared when a situation arises, and we'll be able to act on it instead of being a bystander and just watching it as it occurs. Overall, violence on social media plays a big part in our everyday lives, and we spend a lot of our time looking at our phone and scrolling through, seeing various types of violence occurring. It is proven that it has altered our brain, and it decreases the way that we regulate aggression and instead increases our aggression towards others. We need to become pro-social bystanders and be aware that there is a problem that is occurring, be a part of the solution, and intervene. By reporting harmful and violent posts, calling for help, and stepping up about all types of violence, we can become pro-social bystanders.